gentlemen, it's your host Gumball Head with another episode of the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast. Stopping in on the 21st of May, 2026. Looking at the time, it is, let's see here, 5:33 p.m., 70 degrees in Cincinnati, Ohio. Sky is gray just like it was yesterday. Hopefully, everything's going well for everybody out there. Not sure how well the microphone is working with this. Haven't used it on YouTube yet, so we'll see how it goes once this podcast is over and done with. But I was watching some of my favorite podcasters recently, and when I say watching, our friends over at Bucks and Brews, they do a live video podcast, and that live video podcast, you get to see their reactions to things. And they also do live on the air as well. So it's not just doing, a podcast. And I figured today, why not? I know that I'm out of screen. I'm not concerned about that. I don't care that I'm out of screen. I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to be heard. So I work as a construction estimator. That is my full-time job. I wear a collared shirt, but as you can see in the photos here and the video here, I do have my stretched ears, so that is not that's not a farce. I wear my earrings every day. They ask us to do business casual, khakis and a collared shirt or whatever, and I do that. It's a simple sacrifice for a company that takes good care of me and my family. So, but anyways, I was working with a program today and kind of worked through some stuff. I have this estimate that I'm working at. It's an absolute monster, extremely unique, roof lines, and just trying to get it figured out. And I'm still brand new at my job. I've only been doing this for about 6 months. So it's all new to me, all the information that I'm learning, the computer programs, the keystrokes, the shortcuts, the macros, the assemblies, the groupings, the taxation, and then you throw in, different insurance agencies and insurance companies, and it makes it even more difficult. Wow, we got 3 viewers right now. What did I do to get so lucky on that? 20 viewers right now. Holy crap. That's not normal. Wow. Thanks for the support, guys. But I'm working on this absolute monster estimate, and I had come to a roadblock today. We have a program within a program. So our insurance companies give us this, they give us these parameters, okay? The guidelines that they need us to follow. Thank you for the like. They give us the guidelines for the follow, or they give us guidelines that we need to follow in order to produce estimates. And when we write these estimates, it's written in such a way that, if they don't like the way that we're doing something, they can say no to the estimate and reject it for revisions. Well, revisions suck. They're challenging. They're time consuming. And it's no fun. You write a great estimate, you send it off, and they say, no, we found these problems. Well, then it dawned on me today. I kind of sat back and thought about things a little bit, and I'm just like, man, how much reality is involved in writing these estimates on a day-to-day basis versus how we actually live. Like us, human beings, the things that we do in our lives. How many times are we rejected based on the information that we're projecting out? Okay, so I write these estimates on paper, and then they send me a rejection via email or whatever, and I feel terrible about it. But how many times in your day-to-day life have you had instances where you've been rejected for something? Let's say you go in and you ask for a raise, and your boss is like, tell me why I should give you a raise. Well, I need to make more money to do the job that I do. No, you don't. You've been doing it for as long as you have for the amount of money that you're making. Well, I need more money or I'm going to go find a new job. See ya. If you're not providing that opportunity, if you're not providing a reason for them to keep you around, then they're just going to cut bait. They'll find somebody to replace you. And that's the scary thing. Used to, employers would see the value in their employees, and they would do whatever they could to keep them and retain them. And now it's extremely niche. If you're not in a niche position, like if you work in a factory and you decide I don't want to work here anymore, and you tell the boss I quit, they're going to say, okay, good luck. And then they'll see you at the next factory that you work at, because they're going to do it for 6 more months and they're going to get sick and tired of it. And then they're going to go on to the next, to the next factory too. They're going to see you there. But man, how crazy is it to sit there and stare at a computer screen all day long, or in my case, 4 computer screens all day long, and just try to preemptively determine what is going to happen as soon as I hit that submit button, whether or not I'm going to dance for joy because I got a first time pass, or if I'm going to spend 2 to 3 hours working on remedies of the estimate that I just spent 5 hours writing. It's crazy. It's crazy. And the cool thing about it is that's a fun part of my job. That's one of the most entertaining things of my job, is the fact that I get to consistently play the guessing game and find out what I can and can't get away with. Sometimes things sneak right under the rug and nobody's none the wiser. But the idea is simply this. Now, I'm going to explain something to you guys. When you deal with your insurance company, you got to understand that when you get into a car accident and you need your car fixed, they have to hire somebody that's going to fix your car. Now, insurance companies don't just go, hey, we're going to pick the cheapest guy. They're going to pick somebody that they're not going to consistently pay. They're going to pick somebody that they don't have to consistently call and say, hey, man, you fixed this car, now you need to fix it again. There's something wrong. Insurance companies don't want that. That's a liability. That's an ongoing cancer in the financial system that causes insurance companies money. That's why I like the company that I work for. The best thing about that is the fact that when we write an estimate and we provide it to the homeowner, we provide it to the insurance company, and I'm not balking, I'm not bragging about the company that I work for. I'm just simply stating that when you write an estimate and you submit that and the insurance company approves it, and it goes on to the homeowner, and the homeowner gets their home fixed and they're back in action, everything's back to normal, they're going to say, hey, you know what? These guys fixed our stuff. Next time somebody says, hey, I had this problem in my home, they're going to be like, hey, you know what? I dealt with this company and they took really good care of me. Now, my company is nationwide. They're not as big as ServPro. They're not as big as Roto-Rooter, but we are nationwide. And we have a small handful of offices throughout the United States. And each office has their own individual niche, but we're all in it for the same mission, right? And, my company is much like a community. There are things that I don't like. There are nuances. There are people that I don't like. There are things that I don't like that I have to do on a regular basis. There's revisions and supplements and change orders and this and that. But I'm at the point now in my job where I'm not 100% confident in everything that I do, but I'm confident enough to not have to ask questions all the damn time. I can now consistently do the work, and I'm just at 6 months. Now, do I have a lot to learn? Absolutely. I have so much to learn at my job. I'm still learning stuff every single day. I'm taking care of new things every single day. I'm figuring things out every single day. We never stop learning. Once you stop learning, you start losing. Once you stop learning, you start losing. You start losing the ability to accept things as they come to you. You start losing the ability to change. You start losing the ability to grow that brain. The problem with old people is our brains are full. And the worst thing about it is all of that wisdom that we have inside our brains, we don't know what to get rid of and what to keep. Our internal computer system is at a point where it is over encumbered. Okay? So if I learn something new, that means I forgot something. And it's kind of weird because I had my boss reach out to me and say, hey, I want to sit down and talk to you about some stuff about, efficiencies and stuff like that. And as soon as I read that in my email, I was like, efficiencies? That's a fantastic concept because of what I do now versus working in the corporate world as corporate manager. And to where I'm at now, where I work as part of a team, and the team is kind of all on their own. It's not a matter of like, I'm going to do this so that I get more money than the other guy does. That's not how it works. We don't pool our bonuses, but we look out for one another because the idea is at the end of the day, If I don't meet my numbers, somebody else is going to have to work harder in order to make those numbers up. So if we give each other that positive feedback throughout the day, we're going to have a nice outcome, But overall, affected, if we aren't meeting the metrics of our corporate company, then either A, you don't have a job anymore, or B, you're going to start being hindered by the opportunities that the companies or the homeowners or the insurance companies have offered you in the past. So now this applies to my job. This applies to the insurance companies. This applies to me as an insurance adjuster or estimator. But look at it in the real world perspective, though. If you are consistently being a turd to somebody, and it turns out that turd ends up becoming your boss someday, man, what a sticky situation that is. There's not enough toilet paper in the world to wipe that one clean. That's a challenge. And today I was venting or discussing, rather, some of my frustrations about a coworker. And those frustrations weren't me dogging my coworker. My actual inquiry to my supervisor was, hey, can I ask you a question on how to handle this? And my boss was like, sure. And I presented the problem. I presented to him the information that I had and the things that I changed and the things that I worked on. And then all of a sudden, poof, I heard the person cough down the hallway. And I went straight to their office and I go, hey, you're here. I was just talking smack about you. Now, I wasn't really being rude, but I utilized that as an opportunity to open the door and be like, hey, I was being humorous about this, but here's what I was talking to the boss about. Can you help me with this? It kind of actually was a good opportunity to embrace a catalyst into a unique situation. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Sonic Temple and the concert that we went to on Saturday. Now, many of you that follow us on the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, you guys know how much pride I have in all of my children, okay? I'm a father of 7. I'm a husband. I am an employee. I own multiple businesses, and I work for a company. My wife owns her own stuff. She's a stay-at-home mom. She works very hard for everything that she has. And I'm not going to say that she works hard for her money because she doesn't really have any. The money that we have is from what I make. And realistically, we don't have a savings account because we can't afford to have a savings account. It's the way it is, But music. The reason why I'm talking about Sonic Temple is the music. The biggest thing about the music is that universal language that we all have. Universal opportunities for people to communicate and universal opportunities for people to come together and appreciate and enjoy something that other people appreciate and enjoy. My son had actually said to me on the way home from the concert, the beauty of the entire thing about this music festival, I took him to Sonic Temple, which is a heavy metal music festival, is the fact that he knows all these people that were there. He saw how much the ticket prices were. He saw how many people were there, and he was like, I can't believe how many people were here and how many people worked so hard to make that money, to spend that money, and then, all these different backgrounds coming together for the level one thing, and that's music. It wasn't even like a specific band, but the amount of people that were crowding around us for the band The Architects is kind of probably what spawned his thought process. But just for him to see that was amazing. And for him to observe things that he had never observed before. The price that you pay for a t-shirt, $40. The price that you pay for a hooded sweatshirt, $70. The price that you pay for a 22-ounce adult beverage is almost $20. If you want to get drunk, it's going to cost you $100. Simple as that. I mean, there's no other options. It's just, or you find somebody that's in the stands that has alcohol and you mooch off them. But for the most part, if it comes right down to it and you're buying ice cold Budweisers, that's $20 a whack. You're going to be spending money. And that's the way that it works. Now, I was watching the Bucks and Brews podcast yesterday, and Dave, who is one of my favorite humans of all time over there, had said something that really, really struck a chord with me. He said, baseball games should be free. Not necessarily going to the baseball games, but he said baseball should be free. Baseball should be free on the television. You shouldn't have to pay to watch baseball. Okay? You go to a baseball game or a music concert or a movie theater or any place that is serving you, is giving you something that you want. They know that they're going to be able to capitalize on concessions with you. That's why there's a concession stand at every corner of a baseball stadium or a football field. Okay? I went to a football game one time with a friend of mine at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Okay? Little Caesars Arena, the home pizza, right? They make pizza there. It's where you go and you watch it. It's the new Ford Field. Okay? It was $9 for a slice of pizza. Now, mind you, the slice of pizza was a quarter of a pizza, but how much is a hot and ready? Hot and readies are only $5, maybe $6. I don't know what they are nowadays, but it's still a substantial amount of money that you're placing into the pockets of people. And not only that, but the greatest thing about it is the fact that these venues are no longer cash. Everything is card now. Everything is cashless now. Okay? You tap it with your watch, you tap it with your phone, you tap it with your credit card, whatever it is. But here's the thing. If you are in a situation where you're going to these things and you bring your credit card, or you're like some people and you get a brand new credit card for a music festival or whatever, and you have a $2,000 limit, you're not keeping track of how much money you're spending. You're not paying any attention to that. You're just spending because your card's still allowing you to spend. If you carry cash and you take $100 to a concert, you're going to run out of money, period. Okay? But you go to an ATM and you can withdraw more money, right? Now they eliminate the need to carry cash, and they eliminate the need to run the ATM. Now, here's the mindset of those venues too, though. If you are not carrying cash, you're not going to lose cash. Okay? If you're not carrying a $100 bill, you're not going to lose a $100 bill. Okay? And then you're not going to have to worry about people standing in line for a period of time to pull more money out. Okay? You're not requiring them to get cash out of an ATM. Think about it, folks. Think about the lean process that they put into that. Now they no longer have to waste their time with people standing in line just so they can buy a $12 corn dog. They can come up, grab a corn dog, tap their card, next. That's how fast that process works. And you know what? That's less time of you standing in line. That's less time of you standing there waiting. That's less time for anything. You can go back to and enjoying your concert or baseball game or football game or whatever now, because you save time in the concession line. Okay, think about it. If you've ever been to a hockey game, I've been to multiple hockey games. How long do you wait in the beer line? Okay, I don't drink at sporting events anymore because it's too expensive, period. I don't drink at sporting events. I wish I could say because I don't drink, but I really don't, honestly. But I just, it's expensive. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. But you can very easily spend $60 in a concession line. If you've got a credit card, you're a lot less likely to pay attention to how much money you're spending anywhere you go. That's why everything is going cashless. If you look at situations, let's say you go to a farmer's market or a street fair in your neighborhood that they're hosting. The smart vendors won't even take cash. They will have their Square set up, or they'll have Venmo set up, or they'll have Cash App set up, and you can do the money that way. Do you lose money when you use these apps? Absolutely. But you know what? As a business owner, you're going to pass that financial burden on to somebody else. If it costs somebody $20 to buy something, and it costs you $2 per transaction, are you going to charge that person $20 and eat the other $2, or are you going to charge them $22? Hell no, you're not going to take money away. You're going to charge them $22 because you make that $20, and then you're going to let the consumer pay that extra $2. That's the smart way of business, okay? But as I was saying, on a 20-ounce can of beer, you can walk into the gas station and buy a 22-ounce can of beer for $2-3. Okay, that is $15 more at a music festival. $15 more, Okay, do the math. $15 more. That's 5 more beers. You're getting the price of a 6-pack of 22-ounce tall boys for the price of 1 beer at a concert. Okay, but it's the experience that you're there for. But here's the thing: what happens to you when you overcome? You step over that line. When you teeter over that line of enjoying yourself and having a good time, and you fall into the area where your experience is now nullified because you are intoxicated. Okay, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about people being intoxicated at shows. Beer and concerts and whiskey and weed and boobs and all that stuff, they go hand in hand to concerts. Okay? They go hand in hand to musical events. They go hand in hand to sporting events, soccer, taekwondo, the WWE. Anything that has entertainment or shock value is going to contain many of those things. Okay, if not all of those things. That is the entertainment industry that we're involved in now. Think about this, folks. Where were you at 10 years ago? And what were the big events on TV? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? I'm going to say 20, let's see here. I'm going to say 30 years ago, 35 years ago, maybe even. I'll say 30. 30 years ago, the big event was WrestleMania. One time a year, it costs $100 to rent the special thing from the cable company. And you could have 400 people in your house as long as you rented that special thing. It was $100, $99 for a pay-per-view event, right? You got your money's worth. Everybody gathers around the TV and you're watching WrestleMania. You're watching Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant slam it out in the steel cage. And, you wait all night long for that. And you watch the undercards come in and, you watch Bret the Hitman Hart or Bruce Barber Beefcake or any of those people come in and do those things, okay? Well, there's $100, right? That was your entertainment. Now look at it. What are you doing right now? You're watching some guy driving his car, complain about technology, complain about money, complain about alcohol, complain about how society is doomed as a result of our own behaviors. Okay? I try to give good, valuable information when I speak. Doesn't always happen though. But think about it. If you are missing something in your life, if you are understimulated, do you need to go to the liquor store? No. Do you need to go to the dispensary? No. Do you need to go to the strip club? No. What do? You open your phone. You can have alcohol delivered to you. You can have cannabis delivered to you. You can have nudity immediately on your phone because that is access. That is there. So do you need stimulation? Well, the problem with that is look at the behavior of the children. If you have children, young children, look at the way that they behave and look at the way that they are when you allow them to watch TV and when you don't allow them to watch TV. Usually their manners are a little bit more mild. Same thing with other aspects like sugar. Same thing with aspartame. Same thing with food dyes. Same things with, high carb foods like pizza or pasta. They're going to have different levels of energy than they would if they were to sit down and eat a salad with some bacon on it. It's just different because the sugars burn differently. Okay, it's a stimulation thing, and we all are attached to that stimulation. Now, thank you guys that tuned in and checked this episode out. This is something new that I'm trying. Distance to Empty series live on YouTube. 120 miles till E. We got one more day of work in, then we're going to be off on vacation. I will definitely involve all of you in my trip to the next week with my wife and her. It's a big family trip. It'll be the first time we're all going together somewhere together since our family started to grow. And I'm really looking forward to some time off from work. I'm looking forward to some time with my wife and my kids. And I don't know if oh, there we go. I lost my viewers, but we'll lock this down. We're going to thank all of you that support us in every avenue that you do, whether it's our podcast, our website, our TikTok, our YouTube channel. All those people, it's not a ton, but just the little people, that's what matters. It only takes a few people to create a community. And that's the beauty of it all right there, guys, is there, if you're like-minded individuals, that's what we are, and that's the way life goes. So thank you guys so much for supporting us, supporting me, supporting family, supporting our mission, supporting our brains, and supporting me while I drive home lonely. without a radio in my car. So until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love, guys. We'll see you all soon. I have no idea how to shut this off. We are not doing well. Let's see here. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we shut it? There it is. I found it. Much love, guys.